even funnier. So Rick and Morton pulled me aside after the match, and she's like, "Hey, girl, I noticed something. You came here to put yourself over, and that's what you just did. Congratulations."
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, for 411wrestling.com. I am Gerry Strauss. This is The Big Break, and we are so excited this time out to talk to somebody who is on the minds and the lips of everybody who thinks and talks and writes about professional wrestling these days, because she is freaking everywhere. She is the NWA Women's World's Champion. She is Thunder Rosa. How are you?
I am very hungry.
Press day, right? You've been stuck on Zoom.
No rest day. I actually, before this, I went to do my striking class. I gotta make sure I get my reps in, and I didn't do because my great self have interviews from 8 until 11 o'clock tonight. So
My goodness.
yes.
The pleasures and the pitfalls of being on top, being the champion, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could be working at a job that I hate right now.
Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about, because you are somebody that I think so many people have gotten to know, maybe considered one of wrestling's best kept secrets until a couple of months ago. You've been proudly holding and defending the NWA Women's World Championship, and I know I'm saying that in a different order every time I say it.
I don't even say it because I have to read it. I don't know if you noticed when I cut the promo.
We know who you are, and we know that you're on top, and we know that because of everywhere you've been going all over the place. You've been defending the title, you've been appearing on AEW TV and pay-per-view, and that has brought you to the global superstar level that you probably should have been for some time now. But this show is all about talking about how you got there, the journey. And I want to start by asking you, way back in the beginning, at what point did wrestling come into your life? Because you grew up in Mexico, right?
Yes. Wrestling didn't come into my life until I was 26 years old. That's when I started watching independent professional wrestling. Attended some bigger shows in WWE, but it wasn't like I was super interested. It was more the intimacy that indie professional wrestling brought to my life, and like the significance that it had in my life, because it was my getaway from my reality. Like my husband and I, we had really stressful jobs. We used to both work in different companies that dealt with foster care kids and kids in the system in California. So for us, professional wrestling was what brought a lot of joy to our very monotonous Saturdays and Sundays. So we started traveling with other fans, with other wrestlers, and we fell in love with it. We volunteered at APW in Hayward with Roland Alexander before he passed away. So that's when we started learning a lot of the ropes of the business, how to put a ring together, how to put a show together, the stories of people that were in the business before, that came in there, that became successful, the ins and outs, the drama, like everything. And we were just, soaking everything as like sponges. Like my husband and I were organizers in the Bay Area for students. Always organizing events and knowing the politics of things was something that was very interesting to us. So when the opportunity for me came to become a professional wrestler, wasn't something that I was actually thinking about doing. I just did it because it was a challenge. And for me, if you put a challenge in front of me, I'm like, I gotta do it.
Well, let me ask you, being involved in that scene, because I'm from New Jersey. A lot of people have never really experienced the West Coast, the California professional wrestling scene. it feels like there's a really strong sense of community that you were a part of there. Is that just kind of the way it's been for a long time out there?
I think you mean with the fans or with the professional wrestlers?
Both, really. It feels like there's just this strong sense of, especially on the independent level, you hear stories of just the fans being so loyal. And of course, we hear stories of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and the loyalty of that fan base. But even beyond that, did you
Yeah,
feel a sense of community with everything that you were getting involved in?
I think in Northern California, it was very like territorial, like where where I started, they had beef with people in Newark, so they didn't really like. If you work for them, they were kind of like. There's a lot of politics involved. Like that's one of the things that I didn't really understand. I was like, why does everybody hate each other? Can we just like go and train whatever? If I'm in Newark and I go to that school and train because I want to use the ring, like, or can I go over? It was just a lot of that, but I didn't understand that there was so much of that because of past incidents during or after wrestling, and some people did some other people wrong, and I was just like, okay, now where I am right now, I get it, so but it was managed in a different way. But in the community that I started, which is the APW Gold Rush, the people that started there and that stayed with APW, they were like, they call them the APW faithful. They stay there for a long, long time. A lot of those wrestlers and the talent, they either for X, Y, and Z, they didn't really get out so much of the NorCal area. It was San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward, Sacramento, maybe Oroville with PCW because they had like working relationship out there. But it was very seldom. It wasn't like I didn't see a lot of people going out to other cities or just getting in the car and traveling to other places or even going to SoCal. When I started, SoCal scene was really, really big. So I didn't see that often. Like I think I started seeing a lot of that with us, the women that started coming out, and the guy that was the owner of our school, which was World Rush, Sparky Ballard, which is one of the best referees in California. He will put us all in the car and have this grueling 13-hour drives listening to some opera music. Jesus Christ. They were intense. I think we only had like two stops. One for Taco Bell, one for the bathroom. And it was intense. So, we created a sense of community between the students that I came up with. And I still talk to some of them. I moved a lot. I think not even 3 months in, I was already going to Japan. And that really opened my mind and in my perspective of professional wrestling. I was like, I need to get out of here.
I wanted to ask you, because you did seem to find success and move on to Japan really quickly after you started. What was your athletic background prior to training?
Nothing. I play in the streets with my home in Tijuana. Like, didn't do any sports. The only sport that I did probably organized sport was I was 9 years old and I used to attend school because in Mexico you attend school in the morning or in the evenings. So I used to attend school in the evenings, and there was a basketball group created like last minute. There was like a basketball court by where I used to live in that neighborhood, and I was invited to play. And I always like sports, but my parents never let me play sports. I don't know why. I always find a way to like play fight with my friends in the streets, play soccer with my friends, do everything with my friends in the streets. But that's the only time I played basketball, and I played basketball for 6 months, and then we moved out of there. Like that's the only time that I actually like had a PE class, because PE wasn't like a requirement in Mexico until like middle school. So that's when I got introduced to sports. And that way, to me, that was like, I fell in love with it. Like it was so fulfilling for me because at that moment, my family was struggling a lot, like financially, and there was a lot of issues. And that's what kept me kind of like positive. Like that moment, that time that when I went to practice, and then the school that I went to was, the teachers were really good, and I really enjoyed it because I had PE. So I had PE in the morning and I had PE in the night, and then I'll come back home and I was just like, this place sucks. But but other than that, honestly, like I didn't do nothing. Like I started working when I was 14 of my parents to pay the rent and their bills, and in high school I had to work because I had to pay for my high school until I moved to the United States. And again, the sports were there. I had PE class. I was able to do weightlifting, which I was introduced to weightlifting when I was 17, and I loved it. I just really liked it. I like exercise. I like how it made me feel. It made me feel like more powerful, stronger. it was that in theater, because I was able to take theater classes in high school, and that helped me with my English and just developing my confidence and just speaking with other people. And that's what got me into like older, when my husband was like, hey, you can't do it, you're athletic enough. Because my husband was the one who like made me take classes in college with him. This is after I graduated from college. He made me take swimming classes. We took tennis together on Saturdays. We had swimming and tennis at the same time. What other classes you make me take? I did kayaking class in the summer. That was really cool. Soccer class. Any class that I could take in community college, I was taking it. I learned all the fundamentals when I was a lot older.
How did that translate? I mean, obviously you wanted to be athletic and you wanted to do something physical. How did you take to pro wrestling when you first started? Because, we're looking at how quickly you had some level of success, but did it come naturally to you?
No, man, I suck at rolls. Like, bumps were the worst. I mean, to tell you the truth, I paid up front 6 months before this. I was supposed to start my semester for APW, because I wanted to get in shape. I was 140 pounds. I was a skinny fat. I had no conditioning. I hadn't been to the gym for years. And my husband and I decided that we were going to do it together. So he lost 100 pounds. I lost 20 pounds. And I got in decent shape. I was skinny. I wasn't like muscular, because I was still kind of like developing the muscle memory and learning. And like, I remember the first week or two being at the gym with my husband. He will be drilling like, come on, push it. And I'll be like pushing the bed, like bench pressing and crying because it hurts so bad. And what am I even doing this for? Like I can just go back to get my master's degree. What is the point of doing this? Like, he's like, the point is you gotta be strong-minded and people are gonna look at you and you're gonna be crying. Do you think they're gonna feel sorry for you? Well, I don't feel sorry for you, so stop crying. And I was just like, fucking great too. Like, it was like constant. Then when I came back to do the training, I was the fastest in the class. I was never crying. Like, I will see the guys like bitching when we were doing like 300 squats and nobody could do them. And I was like, this is the reason why I prepared myself, because I knew this was going to happen. And I didn't want to be that kid. Like, I want to be the one saying like, come on, man. Like, really? You're going to be bitching for like 300 squats? Like, come on, man. You can do better than that, Paid a bunch of money. Like, might as well do it. Just suck it up and do it. And that was like the mindset. I started becoming like, nothing is impossible. Yes, you're going to suck at the beginning, but if you keep doing reps and not giving up, that's the most important.
Unbelievable. And, obviously your work ethic shined through. You went to Japan, you were working with World Wonder Ring Stardom, and this is within like 6 months of you starting to train, according to this, right? Is that true?
Yeah, I debuted in mid-October. It's gonna be, oh my God, it's gonna be 6 years now? Just 6 years, actually. October is the month that it's my anniversary. So it was October, November, December, January, February, March. I got the call for Japan in March, like at the beginning of March. And I had to leave in April. I didn't have a passport. I didn't have nothing. So I had to make it happen in less than a month. And I was an American citizen back then. So it was so hard. It was so hard to like just get this passport. Like it was I'm telling you, it was meant to be. I called every single council. It was a Mexican consulate, San Francisco, Sacramento, everywhere. Nobody had an appointment, so you have to make an appointment to get there. Yeah. I had to drive 9 hours to San Diego because that was the only place that they had an appointment. There was only one appointment. Wow. So I told my boss, hey, you know what? I'm about to go to Japan. And he was super supportive. He's like, we support your dreams. We know you love wrestling. Yeah, go and do your thing. You have paid time off. I was like, I drove down to San Diego. I saw my parents for like 3 hours. And she's like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I'm just getting a passport because I'm going to Japan. And they're like, what? What are you doing? I'm like, wrestling. And they're like, are you absolutely insane? What if you die? That's the first thing your parents. What if you die over there? And I was like, if I die, I die, but I die happy doing something that I love, Mom. Like, Jesus Christ, like, let me be. I live in Oakland for a reason. I love you guys. Passporting, I would roll back straight to work.
Wow, the hustle. That's the necessary hustle.
And then, you know what the funny part is? I went without a visa, too.
Oh. Well.
That tells you that you want it so bad that you don't really, like, measure their risks on this one.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, this is really interesting because you're going to Japan so early. But what at that point, like, what did you envision for yourself, like going into 2 years, 3 years? Because this was still the beginning for you. Where did you want to be?
It's so funny because like you go with all these like expectations that they're gonna make you a star and like you're gonna go there and win your matches and
Right.
just to like do the job, and you're like I can't do more than this. I show more heart than anybody, but whatever. So it was really hard for me to understand the dynamics and politics in women's professional wrestling and some of this promotions that were owned by men and some of the stuff that they were done to create revenue, right? So I learned right away the dynamics and what you have to do in order to be successful. I did see that, you know, I was there to do the job. I was put in my place multiple times, and you know what's called the jobber, number one. I got it. So when I came here to America, my husband was like, "You're not gonna be the jobber. We're gonna make you one of the most successful professional wrestlers in the world. Watch us." And I was like, and then when I came back, he already had like 10, 12 bookings. We were driving 15, 20 hours per booking. Him and I were on the car, always on the road, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A bunch of stuff like that. So we just started making a name for ourselves. And luckily enough, I worked for the company again. STARDOM brought their show to Los Angeles. I will take road trips down to LA just to pass out flyers. Like from there, this is like my first year in wrestling. And I had such a big chip on my shoulder that I was like, if it takes me to be in LA for a week, passing out flyers and telling people about the show for them to come and see me, that's what's going to take me. I need to put people on the butts. I need to show people that they need to invest money in me because I'm money. I know I'm money. I'm green, but I'm money.
You really had an interesting direction because, you know, most people, I think you hear more often than not that, you know, they focus on my abilities and my skills and what can I do. But I mean, clearly there is an understanding there that it's really all about making yourself marketable in one way or the other. You need to grow a following. That's, you know, something that even 5 or 6 years later, so many more people have caught on to with social media and found that path, stardom in places like AEW because of their following that they've created, regardless of anything else.
It took me like those 3 months there and like multiple conversations with my husband and telling him like, when promoters see one thing on, especially female wrestling, it's very lucrative in some places. Japan is one of them. If they see one thing that they can exploit, they will exploit it and they will make money. But if that talent has talent and can wrestle, it's unstoppable, like completely unstoppable. So that's what I learned right from the beginning. And that was my motivation to not only make money for a promoter that probably was not gonna even book me again, even though like I showed them that I brought 50 people to the show. It gave me that motivation even more to work harder than anybody and show them that I can not only sell tickets, that I can not only look good, that I can not only create promos, but I can also wrestle and make anybody in this world look like $1 million. So if they couldn't do that, then I was like, I work with you one time. You don't want to give me an opportunity, fine. I'll go somewhere else. I'm not going to beg you for nothing. We don't beg here for.
You know, I want to ask you, and there's so much to talk about in your career, but, you know, of course, we're heading towards the highlight of your career, the apex of your career. I think it's going on right now. So that's what makes this story so cool. You're in the thick of it. You're in the middle of your first real high point in your career with a lot more to come, I'm sure. But Lucha Underground, you were a part of that promotion as well, even working with Women of Wrestling and Ring of Honor a little bit. Did you learn specific things during that period of your career about how to not just be a wrestling star, but a TV star? Was that an education for you?
I learned a lot of the stuff about getting your character over in Lucha Underground because nobody knew who Cobra Moon was. My job was to put it over. My job was for people to want to see the character even though I wasn't wrestling. That's when you know you're doing the work and it's getting over. Because you can be the best wrestler in the world, but if you don't have connection with the fans, they're not gonna care about you. And that's one thing I learned. And then I learned how to work cameras. I asked a gazillion questions of things. So that really later on how to sell, how to like focus on certain things, how to focus on the story, promos that we were working on, or stuff like that. Everything tied into it. And how can I myself as Melissa make this work without sacrificing a lot from putting too much of Thunder Rosa in there. So that was like a balancing act. And then it's just like the struggle, because I feel like with Lucha Underground and WoW, they never really wanted Thunder Rosa. They always wanted something else, something that belonged to them. And so that was always like a conflict that I had. But again, because I wanted to work and I wanted to get that experience, because for me, it's all about experience. So it's all about learning. Because at the end of the day, I can't decide if I want to come back or not, and then just do my own thing, because I still have Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa is mine. When the opportunity came for me to work in NWA as Thunder Rosa, a singles competitor, it was a no-brainer. It was the first time that somebody were like, we're interested in you. At that same time, that was when I was in a crossroads. I was like, I wanted to quit wrestling because, like, it was like the whole contract situation with Lucha Underground. I was kind of like, nah, nobody's knocking on my door. And I mean, like you have it, like you have the skills, you have the following. My following was pretty strong back then too, but it was just like, people are not seeing this. Like, how in the world are people not seeing this? Like, what else do I need to do? And I remember having a conversation with one of the guys, Rick, he does gear, and he was like, Melissa, you have everything, but they don't understand that it's like there's one thing missing. I don't know what it is, but there's like that little one thing missing. That thing was that somebody needed to give me an opportunity to kick ass in the ring as Thunder Rosa. And NWA did it in Power on season 1.
Working with NWA Power, such a unique atmosphere, such a unique environment that didn't exist even 2 years ago. So it's not something you could have really prepared for or aspired to, but suddenly it was there. It became your perfect platform. How important was that type of atmosphere to really showcase what you can do and put you on the road to becoming the champion?
I think it was very important because there were certain aspects that NWA Power has that any other place don't have. And that is the one thing, when you come out of that curtain, you have to come out, connect with the fans. Otherwise, they won't care unless you cut a badass promo. And then little by little, they're like, oh my God, this person is really good. So you have to get their attention from the moment you get out of that. When I was being agent by Trevor Murdoch, he was like, hey girl, I just need you to do me one favor. When you go out there, you will go out there and kick some ass. When I went out there and did my first match, everybody was watching because I'm very aggressive and I'm small, so it's even funnier. So Rick and Morton pulled me aside after the match, and he's like, hey girl, I noticed something. You came here to put yourself over, and that's what you just did. Congratulations. Don't ever change. And I was like, what's up? Evolving Thunder Rosa into becoming a force to reckon with, a hammer. Like I was a hammer in a group. I was the one that nobody wanted to mess with. I was a crazy one. Like, I was like, don't talk to me crazy because I'm crazier than you are. And like, that's legit. I'm a very nice person, but don't try me. You don't want to see that part of me. So, and also, like, it really helped that I was in fight camp. So all the feelings, all the emotions, all the passion, all the training, it was evolving too. So I was getting ready to become a professional fighter too at the same time. Thunder Rosa was evolving in NWA, and everything was tied together in the ring. So when I came back after my fight, I came back with a defeat. So there was a lot for me to prove because I came short on winning my first and my only fight so far. When I came back in the ring, I came more ready to beat anybody in front of me because I was hungrier than anybody else, and I think anybody else in the roster. When I had that match with Allison Kay, I mean, that just shows like relentless. It was a fight.
Yeah, and I have to ask you now, because such a unique decision to delve into MMA, again, not really with a combat background or anything for it, but did you decide to do that as kind of an extension of what you liked about pro wrestling? Did you want to just kind of funnel that, the aggression in a different direction and try your luck in that way?
It was more of like I said, it was a challenge, and that challenge was offered to me. I talked to like a couple of people that have done what I'm doing, and they encouraged me to do it. And they said, like, do it now that you're young, and don't regret it. If you win or lose, it doesn't, like, it matters, but it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you go home and you sit on it, and you're the only one who knows what's going on. All the struggles, the mental struggles, the spiritual struggles, the physical pain, like nobody else knows what you're going through. And if you're going to do it because you want to challenge yourself and you want to make a change in your life and you want to make a change in your family's life. It's like when you have kids, you got to show them that you need to be fearless in order to live life to the fullest. Otherwise, you're kind of like stagnant forever. And that's nothing worse than being like that. Somebody told me. One of my very, very close friends told me. And it was a great experience. I'm telling you, I'm still training MMA. And it just helps me so much because sometimes you have so much pent-up aggression from things that are not coming up the way that you want them to, or you had a really crappy match, you're not happy about it. You can just go in there, get in the mats, choke somebody, get choked, and be like, hey, that was cool, man. Thanks for the roll. And it was like mutual respect. Sometimes you don't get that in the ring, but, you know, right there is like, you're there to kill each other, and then once you're done, you give each other feedback. Hey, if you like move this way, I think you can get me in a choke better. It's such a different mentality.
Real competition, less competitive after it's done. That's interesting. You mentioned your match with Allison Kay. Of course, you became the NWA World Women's Champion. This was at NWA's first pay-per-view under the Power regime, Hard Times. At that point, did you feel primed? Did you feel ready to be the women's champion, to be the leader? I know the answer to this. I think I know the answer.
Where's my magazine? Where's my PW magazine, Brian? I was born for greatness, brother. Dude, you know how many years I keep telling people? You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. One day I'm going to be big, man. One day I'm going to be big. Yeah. You know, you mother, voy a ser una estrella. I'm going to be a star. You guys like it or not. And it happened. I mean, and it's like I'm carrying the Burke championship with me everywhere I go. And I'm like looking at it like now, and I was telling him, man, this thing is so beat up. I've taken it so many different places. It's jacked. But that tells you like the amount of passion and dedication that I have as a professional wrestler and as a champion. It's everything. Like, we are the landscape of professional wrestling. I'm the first ever Mexican born female wrestler to earn this championship and to defend it in a world pandemic. It will be written in the history books as, although she was not defending for a couple months, as soon as everything opened up, she went absolutely balls to the wall and she defended everywhere she could. I use this as a great platform for me, for my brand, and for what I believe in, which is like service to others, service to my community, helping other women, and that's what we're doing.
And you're expanding it even more. And we talked a little bit before we started recording about what exactly is your big break, because you've had so many different kind of stepping stones, success stories, and of course NWA Women's Champion. How could that not be a highlight of your career? But I think, as I said earlier, what's going on right now as we speak in your career, in your life, this very unique time. It's a pandemic, but the wrestling world's opening up, and you are a part of every part of it, just about, it seems. Your arrival in AEW, this historic partnership between AEW and NWA to bring you onto that global stage, I think has taken both you and the Women's Championship to another level as far as people knowing about it, paying attention to it, giving you the respect of what you've accomplished so far. What was it like? Like, when did you find out that, we are going to AEW, we're going prime time?
Mid-August, and I had like literally a couple of days to get ready for everything. I had to get new gear. And I was like, I'm not wrestling. Am I gonna get new gear? I had to get gear in 1 week. I have to like come up with like a new entrance thing, and it was a lot. It was a lot going on. Like, it was crazy. It was after August 24th when that first Rumble came out, introducing myself as the NWA Women's Champion and saying why they brought me here. It was for me to take over the women's division and put it on the map. Like, it should have been a long time ago. I came in hot from. I mean, who can say that they do the debut on national TV with with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Serena Deeb, have a great match, and then the next one is a pay-per-view that is being seen all over the world, probably the universe, like the aliens watch it probably if they like me. So it was great. Like, it was that time, and my husband and I, we talked for a long time. We were taking a mini vacation when they gave me that call, and we were walking on the beach in Corpus Christi. I like Corpus Christi. I just had to say it. So we're walking there, and he told me, if you have a kick-ass match, our lives are gonna change. Like, you don't have an idea what we're about. Like, you have to perform, Melissa. You have to. There is no room for error.
No pressure.
No, he's always keeping it real. If you mess up and you have a botchy match, a match that people are gonna be like, Jesus Christ, like they really brought the NWA champion for this, you're gonna mess it all up. So when you get there, you better make sure you show them what you've been working on for this last 6 years. Why people should have the respect that they should have from a long time ago. If you don't achieve that, then you don't do anything. You just wasted your time. So when you get there, you show that. Because I know you're capable of it. And I know I've seen it from the moment you step in the ring. And I was like, I got you, baby boo. I got you. So that's exactly what I said too. So first match, it was Serena Deeb. It was great. Like the energy, she is amazing. When I met her, what I said, this is how much respect I have for real professional female wrestlers. This is before I became a wrestler. My husband and I, we drove 7 hours down to Los Angeles to see her and Cheerleader Melissa because I wanted to see a real women's match. 25-minute match. Only wrestling. I was in awe. I remember her being in the ring, taking pictures with the fans and stuff. And that match was so dope. Like this is exactly how I want to be when I become a professional wrestler. So when I met her, I didn't even say my name, nothing. I said, I drove 14 hours with my husband back and forth to see Cheerleader Melissa wrestle in Los Angeles, California, like 7 years ago. And she was like blown away. That's how much respect I have for a lot of the athletes that don't get the respect that they deserve. And then I watch all her matches in FCW, and I was like, you should be in like the Hall of Fame right now. You make these girls look like $1 million. And I seen him in Raw and in other matches. Like you made miracles here. So I knew it was gonna be good.
I think that speaks really strongly about AEW and NWA Power as well, and just really what wrestling is like in 2020. If you're good, there's so much exposure that the people will respond. You'll get so much positive feedback. You're going to get more of those opportunities because they're truly well earned. We see Serena Deeb now a part of AEW. You yourself, of course, have benefited from your own greatness and the fact that people have now been able to see you on this bigger platform. And I mean, did you feel that immediately after your initial appearances, just the feedback from the world of, yeah, I belong here?
Yes, I mean, the haters of AEW were talking about this match as one of the greatest matches in AEW. So that can tell you something. And then the Shida matches, people still talk about this match. Like I go to other shows or I go to podcasts and they're like, man, it was so intense and the storytelling was so good. Like, we want to see more. We want to see more of that. And that is really comforting to me that I'm not on TNT right now because, X, Y, and Z. I don't know. It's wrestling. So I'm just here. But people are still asking, I can't wait for Thunder Rosa to come back to AEW, even when I'm not there. I mean, I tell people to just keep asking. Maybe it will happen sooner than later. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. So to me, that tells you like that they want to see quality on TV of matches with us as females. And for me, that's my goal number one every time I step in the ring, especially for national or international TV, is to give them the best. Like it is like my last match, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes, 15, 30, it doesn't matter. Like we have to have that commitment to our fans and to our fan base and to our producers and our owners, which is bringing the best and doing our best. I mean, I am a fighting champion, so I have to bring that all the time. I can't put below grade or mediocre work because I will be chewed. I don't want to be chewed. I want to make sure my opponent looks great as much as I can. And I want my opponent to feel the same way for me, right? Because it's only going to benefit us. People are going to keep asking for 10-minute matches for women's on TV. Not 5, not 3. They want more aggressive, more interesting storylines that we are involved in. Not 1, 2 storylines on main TV. That's my whole goal, is just changing that mentality. But with changing the mentality, we have to be able as athletes and as entertainers to perform with the opportunities given to us. And when we mess up, to accept that we mess up, move on and keep working on it so we get better. Because there's nothing worse than when you get feedback and you're like, I'm done. No, we are performers, best performers in the world. perfect example. She's in WWE. I'm not saying that because she was my trainer, but I'm saying it because she was my trainer. Io Shirai. She was the main bitch at Stardom. She didn't have to come training. She didn't have to train us. She trained us all the time. She trained all the time. She hasn't stopped training. And she's one of the best female wrestlers in the world. And humble as you have no idea.
I think what we've learned here is that the big break for you that you've achieved and you're continuing to achieve it is the fact that not only are you the NWA Women's Champion, not only have you finally gotten the opportunity to show and prove on a global scale, but now you've got the conduit to use that influence and change the way that wrestling's perceived and continue to build it. I think that's really your ultimate plateau, or not plateau, but your goal here is to be in that position to do bigger things for even the world of wrestling than just for yourself. And you got there. And I think that's amazing that you've kind of scratched and clawed your way up to this position. And now you and wrestling are all kind of receiving the benefits of that.
Yes, and I received so much love and so much support from fans. And my favorite thing is when I receive, and now I'm receiving fan mail after the AEW. Like, a lot of people are writing me letters, like little kids are writing me letters, and I write them back because it's so important to me to be that change and be like, you feel like I'm a real person, because we're the idols, we're the superheroes, we're like the superwoman for them when they see us wrestle and they see us fight and they see us put our cool costumes and stuff. Like, I love doing that. And that's what like fills me up when I'm like down and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why? And but it's like, this is bigger than I am. This is bigger than my family that we ever thought, and just keep working on it and being like a beacon of change and a beacon of hope for people like me, girls, my skin color, my race. They work really, really hard and they don't give up. That's the most important part. I sound like John Cena right now. Never give up, but it's true.
Look, we appreciate it as wrestling fans, as part of the wrestling community, because of everything you're doing to make it bigger, to make it better. And we know you're just getting started. So we can't wait to see where you take the NWA Championship next and where you take Thunder Rosa next, because you're all over the freaking place and we love it.
I can tell you see me somewhere soon putting some kick-ass matches and supporting my girls from Texas and Florida and California, and encouraging everybody to follow their dreams.
Awesome. We can't wait to keep watching you. Thank you so much for being on the Big Break, Thunder Rosa. This is this has been an amazing conversation. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is like a different conversation that I don't really get to talk about it like in depth like that. But thank you.